Okay, so it's June 30th, 2020, yeah, and Sterling's gonna join me, and basically I've decided, I was listening to a friend's vision this morning, and I've decided to paint up my vision and record it now before it comes to fruition so that you can sort of see what I see. So we'll start with the app. So the app was created because I decided that I wanted to have a tiny home show so that I could find more people like me and also bring more awareness to the movement and try to find like builders and vendors in the area so that those people that were interested in going into the... Can you please stop? Thank you. Those people who were interested in going into more tiny home living or minimalist living was supported in that. And then obviously with what's been going on with the coronavirus and the economic impact that's going to happen, I think at this point a lot of people are going to be looking for alternative ways of living. So Sterling, remember how I asked you to please be quiet while I'm doing the recording? Did you want to join me? Okay, thank you so much. So, so the app sort of came from the fact that I had to cancel my show, and I'm hoping that in a roundabout way, as the word gets out, that I will actually find more people that are local to me that will participate in my show next year. So the tiny home show was the original idea, and I had put a down payment on the space at the local fairgrounds for a 2-day show. And what my plan was is to have a bunch of tiny homes to showcase, as well as a vendor market that included builders and vendors that were aligned with the vision. And then I had a larger vision that was definitely not going to happen this year, but the idea is that now it could maybe happen next year depending on how much we make and sponsorship and stuff. But the idea is to have like a kids zone, like planting seeds and bubbles and bouncy castles and maybe a little ride. My daughter's favorite ride is that spinny strawberry ride. So we joked about maybe having that and any other ideas for like a kids zone. And then a speaker zone. And yeah, a speaker zone and a musician zone. We were actually thinking about having buskers, which would be super cool. And our original idea was that we could make it completely transparent so everybody knew how much everything cost, how much we were making, so that it could be replicated. So with the app, what I'm hoping is that as we find our more local people, I can create a more localized app so that it can be more of a co-creation locally in producing this idea that could maybe even turn into a music festival down the road, or even help build out communities that accept tiny homes. So don't fall, honey. So that's the next idea. So once this tiny home show is created, and once I find the local people, I'm hoping that that can co-create a space, a tiny home community. So my husband is a dreamer, and he's always looking at real estate. We call it real estate porn. Like if we had $5 million, what kind of property would we buy? And currently he's been looking at this amazing property in BC with a huge house that could potentially be sort of a main space for a tiny home community. Of course, you know, I'd love to live in a big house, but I think that if you're creating a tiny home community, you should have a space where... Don't do that, that's rude. That's rude. Don't do it. Please don't do it. You're so gross. Come on. Don't do that. Wipe your face. No, come on. Sterling. Come on, I'm recording. I asked you not to talk and you're making bubbles with your milk. You silly goose. Yeah, so I was talking to my husband last night about if we make enough money through the app and the tiny home show, how much money we'd need to buy this property. and we'd need probably about 200,000 plus an extra probably 300,000 to do the renovations and stuff that we want. Anyways, so the idea is to have a seriously. The jokester here. He gets it from his dad. Okay, so the idea is to have a space where, like, if you have a tiny home, one of the things that's hardest is that if you have people that visit, there's no place for them to stay. So the idea is to have a communal space that, like, the vision of like a grand kitchen where communal meals can happen, but also if people want to do like YouTube videos on cooking and stuff like that, that it's set up for that. A communal, you know, eating space. And one of the ideas that we got from Aloha Farm on Salt Spring is having it so that, like, morning and lunch, if you're doing work trade, your food is provided, and then dinner is you sort of do it yourself, and then once or twice a week you have a communal dinner. But that can be, you know, whatever. Anyways, so the idea for the community I have is a couple things. One, that there's a different amount that you pay based on how long you've been there. So the longer you're there, the cheaper your rent. And so that there's a space in the front for, like, temporary tiny homes, so people who are driving through, or people who just want to come for a season, or they're just coming for a workshop. So there's a space that's, you know, a lot more dense. And then if you've been there for like 6 months to a year, you find the space on the property. The space we're looking at right now is about 200 acres. So you find the space that resonates with you the most, and we build a path out to that space. And at the end of the day, you can create whatever you want in that space. And if you leave, you can either leave your tiny home and go wander the world, and we can do like an Airbnb of it, or you can take it with you, and therefore there's another space that opens up for people who've been there longer again. So the idea is to have like a work trade, and but also that you can stay there and make your own income in other ways too. But that's more my husband's expertise. So back to the app. So by creating this app and then creating another app that's more localized, I'm hoping that it's replicated. And what I see is, if this could be replicated and other people could make enough money to build their homes out and also buy property, then eventually what could happen is you could be traveling anywhere in the world and look up Wandering Footprint Farm, and you can find the local community and find out what their expertise is. So, you know, because my vision is that it comes organically and that people who are involved come up with their own ideas. Every single farm will look different and will have a different expertise. So, you know, one will be, one could be like carpentry. You know, this place, the founder is an amazing carpenter, and, you know, if you really want to learn about, or if you want to fix up your rig in that regard, you can go to this one. Or, you know, this one's run by different religious backgrounds, so you can learn about Islam or Judaism or Christianity or Catholicism. I mean, it's really important for me that there is no dogma, but I think that there is an essence to most religions that those people who are aligned with this vision and who are also have their background in you know, certain religions, I think they have a lot to offer. And so I think that it would be really special to sort of create communities that bring out the best in anybody who's the founding member, as well as the members. So that's like my ultimate vision. Bald eagle is, oops, flying overhead right now. So yeah, so that's my ultimate vision. We live on Indigenous land, and one of the nicest things about this is that, you know, we know that it's not ours, but we have, my husband has made, you know, gardens and made it really beautiful here. And, you know, we know that we will have to leave at some point, but it's really nice to be paying rent to the people who deserve it. And that's another part of this, my app, that I would really like to create, is a space where people who, the Indigenous people who have land that they'd like to share, can also find people to, you know, learn and co-create and, you know, create an income that supports the land but doesn't require them to sell it or to build something on it. So that's another aspect. Yeah, I mean, there's so much going on, and obviously, you know, it's really important for me that this community that I'm hoping to create, these communities that I'm hoping to create, have, you know, normalize equality, make it, well, I heard the word today, like a positive impact, not just a neutral impact, but a positive impact that's inclusive and supports healing. And ultimately, you know, my husband has spent time in jail when he was younger for misdemeanor, and he always imagined a place where people like him who are, you know, on probation or didn't really know where they were going to go next have a space where they can come and learn basic skills like carpentry and farming and fire and, you know, pottery, whatever, like skills in their life, and a place that they feel safe. And for me, I've wanted to create a space where inner city families can come and get reconnected with the earth. And so I think this idea could potentially create the same thing, you know, where people actually know that they're welcome, that there's food provided, and that there's healing provided, and support and community, so that people can go off into their own lives and feel like they have a base. So yeah, so that's like the ultimate vision, but right now it's the app and collaborating to make our tiny home show next year awesome, and hopefully duplicating it so that, you know, next July 3rd, 2021, there's Wandering Footprint shows all over, and ultimately leading to the Wandering Footprint community. So yeah, so that's my vision, and there's so much more, but I think that that's enough. So happy airplane! Yeah, happy June 30th, 2020. And love and light. Mwah. Nice.